A tropical cyclone is forming off Western Australia right now, and it could hit the coast with winds up to 130 kilometres per hour in less than 72 hours. But that is not the only story. Severe thunderstorms are building across 3 states as we speak, and parts of Central Australia are about to see more rain than they've had in years. Some locations could receive their entire annual rainfall in just the next 48 hours. If you live anywhere from Brisbane to Broome, the next week will bring dramatic weather changes that will directly impact your weekend plans, your property, and possibly your safety. Stay with me because in exactly 30 seconds, I'll reveal which capital cities are in the firing line for severe weather. And at the 5-minute mark, I'll give you the exact timing of when the tropical system will make landfall. Right now, satellite imagery shows explosive thunderstorm development across southwestern Queensland. These aren't your average summer storms. We're re-seeing supercell potential with destructive wind gusts forming in a zone stretching from the northern corner of South Australia right through southwestern Queensland and into northwestern New South Wales. Here's what makes today different. The atmospheric conditions are lining up perfectly for what meteorologists call significant severe thunderstorm development. We're talking about storms with destructive winds, heavy rainfall that could dump 50 to 100 millimetres in under an hour. And yes, there's even a hail risk, though interestingly, the extreme heat in the atmosphere means large hailstones are less likely than you'd normally expect. Let me be specific about locations. If you were in Thargomindah, Quilpie, or anywhere in that southwestern Queensland corridor, conditions are favourable for severe storms from mid-afternoon through this evening. Sydney has foothills and the Hunter region, you are not off the hook either. Isolated but potentially severe thunderstorms are possible around Barrington Tops through late afternoon. But here is where it gets really interesting, and this is something I need you to pay close attention to. Comment below with your location, and I'll give you a personalised forecast for your specific area over the next 7 days. Now let's talk about something extraordinary happening in one of Australia's driest regions, Lake Eyre, Inaminka and Mumba. These places typically receive only 100 millimetres of rain in an entire year. Some years they go completely dry. But over the next 3 days, forecast models are showing between 150 to 200 millimetres falling in isolated pockets across this region. Think about that for a moment. These locations could receive twice their annual rainfall in just 72 hours. This is the kind of rain event that happens once every 5 to 10 years in Central Australia. The Birdsville tract could see localised flooding. The catchments are already saturated from recent activity, which means this water has nowhere to go except straight into the lake systems. Alice Springs and surrounding areas are also in line for significant totals, potentially 100 millimetres, though remember, with thunderstorm-driven rainfall, it's going to be patchy. Some areas will be drenched, while locations just 20 kilometres away might barely see a drop. Here is what you need to understand about thunderstorm rainfall. It's not like a coastal low that brings steady, widespread rain. Thunderstorms are like nature's fire hose. They unleash incredible amounts of water in very concentrated areas. So if you in these regions, prepare for both scenarios. Either you will get absolutely soaked or you will watch the storms pass by just out of reach. Now, I promised you critical information at the 5-minute mark, and we're there now. Let's talk about southeast Queensland because the story here is complicated and not what you might be hoping for. Southeast Queensland is bone dry, not just literally, but the humidity levels are running well below normal for February. It's been comfortable, sure, but it is a problem when you desperately need rain. The dams are low, the landscape is thirsty, and everyone's looking at the forecast models hoping for relief. Here's the timeline. Wednesday, February the 11th, we get an approaching trough. This brings a chance of significant thunderstorm development across central Queensland. We're talking Windora, Longreach, Charleville and Roma. Moisture streaming in from the southeast Queensland coastline will spike instability values. Thursday, February the 12th, that's when things get interesting for Brisbane, the Gold Coast and northern New South Wales. The forecast models are showing decent thunderstorm potential. Now, I need to be honest with you. We're not talking high-end severe storms like we see earlier in the season. By mid-February, the jet stream has shifted further south, which reduces the severe weather potential. But rain dumpers, absolutely possible. The problem is wind shear. We've got good instability, we've got moisture, but almost nothing in the way of wind shear. This means storms will develop, they will produce heavy rain in isolated spots, but they want to be organised into larger systems that bring widespread beneficial rainfall. Friday, February the 13th, a southeasterly change pushes through. Normally this would be great news. Southeasterly changes in February typically bring decent rainfall to the coast. But here, the catch, and this is crucial. There is a high pressure system sitting in the Tasman Sea, and it is creating very dry conditions on the backside of the low pressure system. I am skeptical of the rainfall totals the models are showing for this period because this isn't a tropical origin system. It is just a southeasterly change in a dry environment. The models tend to overbake rainfall in these situations, but don't lose hope yet. Comment your location below and I'll track this system specifically for your area. Here, where the forecast gets more promising. Saturday and Sunday, February the 14th and 15th, and extending into the following week, a low pressure system begins establishing itself offshore from the southeast Queensland coast. This is significant because any low that parks itself off the coast will drag moisture down from the Coral Sea. When we overlay humidity values on the forecast maps, we see 80 to 90% humidity across the Coral Sea, pushing to nearly 100% along the coast. That when rainfall becomes much more likely. We're relooking at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the following week, February the 16th through the 18th, for showers and steady rain bands to develop. The challenge is this rainfall will be hit or miss and mostly confined to coastal areas. It's not the drought-breaking rain southeast Queensland desperately needs, but it is something. It chips away at the deficit. Some locations could see 50 to 100 millimetres, which would certainly help. Now, there's been some chatter about a tropical cyclone developing and affecting southeast Queensland. Let me be absolutely clear about this. The chances of a tropical cyclone impacting southeast Queensland in the next 2 weeks are extremely remote. We're talking lottery winning odds. So if you've seen those social media posts suggesting a cyclone is headed for Brisbane, you can put that worry to bed. What is working in southeast Queensland's favour is sea surface temperatures. Anything above 26 degrees Celsius is favourable for rainfall development, and right now that 26-degree isotherm extends as far south as Port Macquarie and Coffs Harbour. The waters right off the southeast Queensland coast are sitting at 26 to 27 degrees. This will enhance any rainfall that does develop. Let's shift north. Townsville and the North Tropical Coast. This morning, moderate to heavy rainfall is moving through the Harvey Range and upstream from Townsville into the Ross River Dam catchment. This is excellent news for Townsville's water supply. The dam has actually stopped releases this morning because of the incoming rain. We're seeing a confluence zone, not quite a typical convergence zone, but close enough. Easterly to northeasterly flows in the mid-levels are clashing with southeasterly surface winds, creating lift and instability. The result is showers and storms that are getting organised as the sun rises. Cairns, the Cassowary Coast and the Daintree are all seeing increased shower and thunderstorm activity. This is typical for February, but it's still great to see, especially since these systems are actually producing measurable rainfall. Here is the timeline for far north Queensland. Today, Friday, scattered showers and storms, heaviest through late morning and early afternoon along the Cassowary Coast. Tomorrow, Saturday, moderate to heavy falls possible in the afternoon and evening along the Cassowary and Daintree coasts. Sunday into Monday, rainfall could get quite heavy through the morning hours before easing through early next week. But showers and thunderstorms will remain consistent right through the remainder of next week as a weak area of tropical low pressure develops north of Papua New Guinea, just offshore from the tip of Cape York Peninsula. Now, there is water in some of the river systems across far north Queensland. The Dimbula River and locations around Karratha are showing elevated levels. This creates a minor flooding concern over the next 48 hours with the forecast rainfall, but nothing to be overly alarmed about. This is wet season. This is what we expect in the tropics. But here is what you've been waiting for. The tropical cyclone developing off Western Australia. This is the most significant weather story developing right now. And if you live anywhere from Broome to Exmouth, you need to pay very close attention to what I am about to tell you. Tropical low 21U formed overnight in the Kimberley region. As of this morning, it's located northeast of Broome with good rainfall wrapping around the circulation. This system has been consistently organising over the past 6 hours, and it's about to move offshore into the Indian Ocean within the next few hours. Here is the critical timeline. Once this system moves over open water, intensification will begin. We're expecting this tropical low to spend at least 24 hours offshore, probably closer to 48 to 72 hours before crossing the coastline. The official forecast track brings this system around to the Exmouth area in approximately 3 days, but I think the track will end up closer to the coastline. Based on the ensemble forecast models and an approaching upper-level trough, I am expecting landfall somewhere between Dampier and Karratha, potentially earlier than the official forecast suggests. Let me give you specific timing. The system moves offshore Friday morning. Intensification begins Friday afternoon and continues through Saturday. Peak intensity is expected late Saturday into early Sunday morning. Landfall is most likely Sunday morning, February the 8th, somewhere between Onslow and Port Hedland, with my best estimate being the Dampier to Karratha region. A tropical cyclone watch is currently in effect from Pardue, which is east of Port Hedland, down to Onslow. This will likely be upgraded to include Exmouth later this afternoon or this evening. The watch means gale force winds are possible within 24 to 48 hours. Here is what you can expect. Wind gusts approaching 120 to 130 kilometres per hour along stretches of the Pilbara coast. Rainfall totals of 150 to 200 millimetres, with isolated higher amounts possible near where the system makes landfall. The heaviest rain will fall Saturday night through Sunday morning. Now, this is important. This system is approaching at an angle to the coast, which makes the exact landfall location harder to pin down. Even a 5-degree change in the storm's motion could shift the landfall point by 100 to 150 kilometres along the coast. A storm coming in from this angle means a small directional change brings it from Pardue down to Port Hedland or even further south. The system is also quite large, especially by Western Australian standards. This means the impacts want to be focused just where the eye crosses the coast. Significant wind and rain will extend a couple hundred kilometres up and down the coast from the landfall point. Here's my advice, and please take this seriously. If you live anywhere from Exmouth north to Broome, monitor this situation very closely. For areas between Pardue and Onslow, including Onslow, Port Hedland, Karratha, Dampier and inland communities like Pannawonica, start preparing now for wind gusts up to 125 kilometres per hour. What does preparation mean? Clean up your backyard, secure loose items, check your emergency supplies, make sure you have batteries, torches, water and non-perishable food. Charge all devices, fill your vehicle with fuel, check on elderly neighbours. This system will likely impact the region on the back half of the weekend, which means you might have Monday off work, particularly if the cyclone tracks further south toward Exmouth. It will arrive later and prolong the warning period. Check with your workplace now about contingency plans. The storm does have a decent future ahead of it, better than I initially expected given its current appearance. It will intensify over the warm waters off the Pilbara coast, and while it won to become a major cyclone due to the expected land interaction, it will still pack a significant punch. Before we wrap up, let me give you the key takeaways for every region. Sydney and New South Wales, isolated severe storms possible this afternoon and evening, particularly in the foothills and Hunter region. Then watching the southeasterly change next Friday with modest rainfall potential. Southeast Queensland and Gold Coast, dry conditions continue through the weekend. Thunderstorm potential develops Thursday, February the 12th, with heavy rain possible in isolated areas. Better rain chances develop the following weekend, February the 14th and 15th, and into the next week as a coastal low develops. Comment below with your specific suburb and I'll give you a detailed breakdown. Central Australia, including Alice Springs, Lake Eyre, and the Birdsville region. Significant rainfall over the next 72 hours. Some locations could see 150 to 200 millimetres. This is years' worth of rain in just a few days. Flooding is possible along the Birdsville track and around the northeastern corner of South Australia. Townsville, Cairns and far north Queensland, beneficial rainfall continues through the weekend and into next week. Totals of 50 to 100 millimetres possible with isolated heavier amounts. Minor flood risk in usual locations, but nothing alarming. This is normal wet season activity. And Western Australia from Broome to Exmouth, a tropical cyclone will impact the Pilbara coast Sunday morning, February the 8th. Prepare for winds to 130 kilometres per hour and rainfall of 150 to 200 millimetres. The tropical cyclone watch will be upgraded to a warning within the next 24 hours. I'll be posting updates throughout the weekend on the Facebook page, and here is something I haven't mentioned yet. Depending on how this system develops, there might be an opportunity for some incredible storm footage. The next video could show you inside the tropical cyclone as it makes landfall. Make sure you resubscribe so you don't miss it. Comment below right now with where you live. I want to know which areas are most concerned about this weather pattern so I can provide specific updates for your region. Are you in the path of the Western Australian cyclone? Are you in southeast Queensland desperately hoping for rain? Or are you in far north Queensland dealing with typical wet season activity? The weather across Australia over the next 7 days is setting up to be significant in multiple regions for multiple reasons. From drought-breaking rain in the interior to a tropical cyclone off the west coast to severe thunderstorms in the east, we're seeing a very active pattern. One more thing before we finish. Next week, S forecast is going to be critical for long-range planning. We're rewatching several systems that could develop in the extended outlook, including the potential for that southeast Queensland coastal low to linger longer than currently expected. I'll have a full breakdown of the 7 to 14 day outlook in the next video. Stay safe, stay informed, and I'll catch you